Okay, here we are. I'm not sure what section it is. I believe it's 4, scenario 2.5. If you hear dogs barking in the background or the yard man, I just can't stop at this point, so bear with me. In scenario 2, we talked about the buyers receiving a counter from the sellers. Captain Kirk received it from Mr. Spock, the listing agent. Captain Kirk stored that on his hard drive. Now, in this exercise, the purpose of the exercise is to automate the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the offer on 2019 Starship, and the buyers are going to sign the counter. Captain Kirk is going to enter the executed date. The listing agent, Mr. Spock, is going to approve it, and then the title company, obviously Independence Title, will then receive the contract that will be signed by all parties with the executed date with instructions to go ahead and open an order. I'm going to go to Documents and point out several things. Number 1, in our folders we have our initial offer that had the initial offer that the buyer sent to the sellers. We now have a folder, counter offer from, and I've pointed to it, and you can see the extension of the name sellers. I created a third subfolder, accepted counter by buyers. The reason being, when we have the document signed by the buyers and approved by the listing agent, then that we will have those signed forms stored in the accepted counter by buyers. In the counter offer from the sellers, I've got 2 forms here, right? The 1 to 4 family, the third party. I'm going to open up the 1 to 4 family to ensure that we have the correct form saved in this subfolder. And we do. Notice, here is the counter. The buyers offered $600. The sellers countered at $615. The buyers have signed it. The sellers have signed it. Our next step is to have the buyer sign this offer and accept it. To do that, I have these 2 files here. I'm in the counter offer from the seller. That doesn't matter. I'll still have to go and select my forms from a list, but I can easily click on the e-sign button here to go to DocuSign. I'm going to create a new packet by clicking on the new button. I do not select the 1 to 4 family and the third party from this list. I need to scroll down, open up the signed documents, then open up the counter offers from the seller, select the 1 to 4 family, the third party there. Okie doke, I've got my documents selected. Now, here's the key. I need to choose a folder for return signed documents to go into automatically. I click on that link. I go to signed documents. Here's the new folder that I created, accepted counter by buyers. Click on done. Currently, there's nothing there. Nothing will be there until the buyer signs the counter. And then DocuSign will automatically send those signed forms to this accepted counter by buyers subfolder, which I think is a really cool thing. We click on next. Now I'm going to select my parties. Who's going to sign the counter? Beverly and Shannon, my 2 buyers. Close. I have them selected. I'm going to leave the signing order 1 and 2. At this point, it doesn't matter. We're going to modify that once we get into DocuSign. I clicked on the next button. It's open DocuSign. You're going to wait patiently. And here we go. Since I sent PDFs from ZipForms to DocuSign, i.e. my counter that we received from Mr. Spock, no tags are placed because ZipForms doesn't know what to tell DocuSign to do with this PDF, so I must place the tags there. Notice, I'm going to scroll down to my counter. I have Beverly here. I'm going to select the initial field, if I can. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to have Beverly initial here. I'll size it down so it will be small. and maybe I'll place it here. And then I'm going to select Shannon, drag over the initial field, have Shannon selected here. Now, I could add initials by the strikeout. I'm not going to for the sake of the exercise, but that's just an exercise issue. If the students wanted to do it, perfect, we could. So my two buyers now have signed the counter. I want to automate the process. To automate the process in DocuSign, I'm going to come over here, click on this little go back button. It takes me back to the details in DocuSign. Here are my two forms. I'm leaving these here as is. And my two buyers, buyer 2, buyer 1. Beverly, Shannon, they both need to sign. I'm going to give them signing order 1 and signing order 1 so they sign simultaneously. My next signer, to automate this process, once they sign it, is going to be Captain Kirk, who will add the executed date. I'm going to add a recipient. I'm going to click on this little person icon that opens up my contact list. We have many people in here. Please forgive, it's a Independence Title account. I am going to select Captain Kirk. It remembers Captain Kirk. And I have Captain Kirk here. Number 2 needs to sign as Captain Kirk's action because Captain Kirk is going to add the executed date. My next party or recipient that I'm going to add is Mr. Spock. I'm going to click on the address book button. I'm going to scroll down to the ends. Mr. Spock, add selected. Mr. Spock is number 3. Mr. Spock has the action need to sign because I'm going to add the approve and decline button to Mr. Spock. Last but not least, add recipient number 4. Going to click on the little person and I'm going to select the title company, and that's going to be Rose King. Add selected, not needs to sign, but what's my action going to be? Correct. Receive a copy. So now I have my parties. To confirm my signing order and to see it visually to make sure that it's in correctly, I scroll up to the top of the section, add recipients to the envelope, and I'm going to click on the signing order link. When I click on the signing order link, I can see the diagram. Here is Shannon and Beverly. They're going to sign it. It's going to go to Captain Kirk to enter the executed date. It's going to Mr. Spock to approve and decline. And then it's going to go to Rose King, the title company, to open the order. Let me click on close. Now, to add the fields that I need to add, to continue to automate the process, I'm going to click on the next button. I scroll down to the price and see my tags are here for Shannon and Beverly. But I'm going to scroll all the way down quickly to the executed date. I know, and there are going to be people in this class going, Rose, go faster. Here's my executed date. Who's going to key in the executed date? Once the buyers sign it, Captain Kirk. To be able to enter the executed date, I select Captain Kirk on the left-hand side, scroll down to text box, drag the text box over executed. I'm going to size it down, this blank day of, here's the text box for the month. We can make it a little bit larger. And then for the year. I'm going to let it be blank and let Mr. Spock key in 2019, just so in case we do this on the end of the year. I'm going to scroll back to the top. Come here. What's my third step in automating the process? I'm going to select Mr. Spock. I'm going to scroll down to my standard fields. Mr. Spock will have an approve button or a decline button, and Mr. Spock, once Captain Kirk has entered the executed date, will then be able to click on approve and decline. When it goes to approve and approve, it will automatically go to the title company, a signed contract where they can open title on this specific order. All we have to do at this point, thank goodness I've made it all the way through the recording, is click on the send button, and we send it. Hallelujah.